failed to share with you, a detailed complaint will be made available to you this afternoon. I didn't want to wait any longer to share the news that he's in custody and has been charged with murder.
What about the other 3 officers involved?
The investigation is ongoing. We felt it appropriate to focus on the most dangerous perpetrator. I must say that this case has moved with extraordinary speed. This conduct, this criminal action, took place on Monday evening, May 25th, Memorial Day. I'm speaking to you at 1 o'clock on Friday, May 29th. That's less than 4 days. That's extraordinary. We have never charged a case in that kind of time frame, and we can only charge a case when we have sufficient admissible evidence to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. As of right now, we have that.
Mike, yesterday you had...
Give her a follow-up. Go ahead.
Many people, including the mayor, have said that any other citizen with the video evidence available would have been arrested and held while awaiting charges earlier. Why didn't that happen in this case?
We have charged this case as quickly as sufficient admissible evidence to charge it has been investigated and presented to us.
Mike, you were saying yesterday that because this is going to take time. What's changed since yesterday and this morning that with this happening and now we're seeing murder charges against Chauvin?
Fair question. We have now been able to put together the evidence that we need. Even as late as yesterday afternoon, we didn't have all that we needed. We have now found it, and we felt a responsibility to charge this as soon as possible. Paul?
Yeah, Mike, what was the final piece? Was it,
No.
do you now have some background on you?
Folks, I'm not going to talk specifically about this piece of evidence or that piece of evidence. You will see, and you all are veterans, I can only talk about what's in the complaint. You will see in the complaint the evidence and put it all together. We needed to have it all. Now, let me just quickly say we have evidence. We have the citizens' cameras, video, the horrible, horrific, terrible thing we've all seen over and over again. We have the officer's body-worn camera. We have statements from some witnesses. We have a preliminary report from the medical examiner. We have discussions with an expert. All of that has come together, so we felt in our professional judgment it was time to charge, and we have so done.
Based on the other officer's role in the video, what criminal statutes could apply to those officers if it's not murder?
I'm not going to speculate today of the other officers. They are under investigation. I anticipate charges, but I'm not going to get into that. Today we're talking about former Officer Chauvin, which we believe has met the standards to be charged, and that's what we have done.
Mike, how closely did you look at the second degree?
Whoa.
How closely did you look at the second degree statutes, either intentional or unintentional, that on the surface seem to fit this, the videotape evidence we've all seen?
We have looked very closely at all statutes. This is what we've charged now. Investigation is ongoing. We have more discussions to do with our experts. This is the same charges that we made when we charged former Minneapolis police officer Mohammed Noor. The exact same third-degree charge and manslaughter charge.
Mike,
I've seen
one
you
more
charge
question.
cases
One more
faster.
question.
I've seen you charge cases faster than 4 days. Are you saying that this is the fastest you've ever charged a police officer?
This is by far the fastest we've ever charged a police officer, okay? Normally, these cases can take 9 months to a year. We have to charge these cases very carefully because we have a difficult burden of proof. And let me just say something about that. We entrust our police officers to use certain amounts of force to do their job, to protect us. They commit a criminal act if they use this force unreasonably. We have to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. The Hennepin County Attorney's Office is one of the few prosecutor offices in this country in the last 5 years to successfully prosecute a police officer for murder. And we did that on behalf of Justine Damon. Okay, that's unusual. We know how to do this. We have a very veteran prosecutor group, aided by a very veteran investigator group at the BCA. On top of that, we've had great cooperation from the FBI and from United States Attorney Erica McDonald, and she may have some things to share with you soon, but she does that on her own timetable. I want to say to you that I'm very pleased about that level of cooperation, which frankly I will say to you doesn't necessarily happen in other jurisdictions, according to my friends and the national prosecutors. One last one.
That took months, close to a year. This takes days. Did public outrage play a role in the speed of this investigation?
I'm not insensitive to what's happened in the streets. My own home has been picketed regularly. My job is to do it only when we have sufficient evidence. We have it today. Mohammed Noor was a very difficult case. We didn't have the kind of videotape we need. And we didn't, and there was all sorts of other evidence that took us a long time. We do our level best to charge each case when we have the evidence to do it. But we cannot, and I will not allow us to charge a case until it's ready. This case is now ready, and we have charged it.
Mike, you want to make clear that the complaint has not yet been signed, it's in process, and when it's done, when it's ready, we'll...
Good, thank you. Let me state on, so you have it. The complaint has been completed, and it is being processed now, and the signed copy will be made available to you today. Okay, that's...
Give a statement to investigators for the other three.
And that is Hennepin County, Minnesota. County Attorney, the Chief Prosecutor, Mike Freeman, Chief Prosecutor for Minneapolis, announcing the charges of murder in the third degree and manslaughter against former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin. He is the police officer who is seen with his knee on the neck of George Floyd, 46 years old. Minute after minute on videos that rocketed around the world that led to the death of George Floyd. Now, that officer, Derek Chauvin, facing third-degree murder charges. Under Minnesota law, third-degree murder is defined as whoever without intent to affect the death of any person causes the death of another by perpetrating an act eminently dangerous to others. So it is not murder with intent. Mike Freeman was asked about that. He said this is the appropriate charge given the evidence, but that the investigation continues. He says there is body camera video from the arresting officer, in addition to that bystander video that the world saw and was shocked by. And he also said, did County Attorney Mike Freeman, that the investigation continues into the officers who stood around and watched George Floyd being killed in that neck restraint, the knee on the neck of Derek Chauvin on George Floyd. He said he anticipates those other officers, some of them, will be charged. He said, but that is not for today. A complaint detailing these charges and the evidence that they're based on will be signed and released later today. But you see the speed, the urgency that we have seen from Minneapolis and Minnesota public officials, given the fact that Minneapolis has basically gone afire, and we want to go to Minneapolis right now. Our Alex Perez has been on the streets. Alex, here is what the protesters have been demanding: the arrest and charging of the man seen